66 million years ago, the skies belonged to something extraordinary. On the shores of an ancient inland sea, a shadow moves. Tall as a giraffe, wings wider than a glider aircraft. Built for distance, designed for silence. But across an ocean, another ruler waited. An island world, isolated, evolving differently. Heavy-boned, power in every bite, built not for grace, but for domination. Two rulers, two strategies, two environments, not designed to meet. But destined to be compared. What made each of them a master was not size alone, but geography. In the end, the question echoes across time.
If you could stand on a wide open plain in Texas about 66 million years ago, you'd probably hear it before you saw it. A deep, heavy wing beat, a ripple in the air, and then a shadow stretching longer than a school bus sliding across the ground. When you looked up, you wouldn't see a dinosaur. You'd see something even stranger. You'd see Quetzalcoatlus, one of the largest flying animals to ever exist. Texas and the beginning of the story. The story begins in 1971, when a university student hiking through Big Bend National Park stumbled upon a set of fragile bones, paper-thin, hollow, unlike anything he'd ever seen. Those bones belonged to a creature with a wingspan longer than a small airplane. Late Cretaceous Texas wasn't the Texas we know today. It was warm, wet, swampy, an enormous coastal plain fed by an inland sea. And it was the perfect home for an animal that could fly, but surprisingly preferred to walk. Huge, yet built for grace. Let's talk size. Quetzalcoatlus stood roughly 5 meters tall, about the height of a young giraffe. Its wings stretched 10 to 11 meters, rivaling modern glider aircraft. And despite that size, its bones were incredibly light, hollow tubes reinforced with internal struts, like the spars inside airplane wings. You might ask, how can something that big fly? Well, by doing something no bird does. It didn't take off like a bird. Quetzalcoatlus didn't run to launch itself. It vaulted, using all 4 limbs in a powerful leap, like a giant bat springing into the air. Biomechanical models show this leap could generate enough force to lift a 200-kilogram animal off the ground in a single movement. Once in the air, it could glide for long distances, possibly hundreds of kilometers. No flapping marathons, just long, silent flights. So, what did it eat? Here's where things get interesting. It had no teeth, but a long, spear-like beak and a flexible neck. Most evidence suggests it hunted on the ground, not in the air. Imagine an enormous stork walking across a Cretaceous floodplain, suddenly stabbing downward to catch fish trapped in shallow pools, small reptiles, tiny mammals, and yes, occasionally, hatchling dinosaurs. For small animals, Quetzalcoatlus was less a bird and more a nightmare. Reproduction, still a mystery. No eggs or nests of Quetzalcoatlus have been found, but from other pterosaurs, we know. They laid soft, leathery eggs. Hatchlings were surprisingly independent, almost ready to move right away. Nests were likely built on dry ground near water. Did males have larger head crests? Maybe. We simply don't have enough fossils to know. Did they live in groups? Good question. And the honest answer is we don't know. Some smaller pterosaurs show signs of colony living, but Quetzalcoatlus might have lived more like herons today, mostly solitary, gathering only during breeding season. Its long stride and towering posture make it seem like an animal built for space, big, open environments where it could spot danger and launch quickly. The great debates. Even now, Quetzalcoatlus raises questions that spark debate in scientific circles. Could it truly fly across continents? Was it heavier than we think? Did it hunt mostly on land or scavenge? How powerful was its neck? How often did it fly? We understand fragments, but the full picture is still forming. Breaking the limits of evolution. One thing is certain. Quetzalcoatlus was one of nature's boldest experiments, a creature that pushed the boundaries of what flight could mean. It walked like a giant, launched like a bat, glided like a plane, and survived in a world full of predators and competition. Every bone we find reminds us how little we truly know about the innovators of the ancient skies. And if we could travel back to that Cretaceous plain and watch this creature rise into the air even once, we would understand immediately why some scientists call it the master of the silent sky.
If you think Quetzalcoatlus was the only giant ruling the skies at the end of the Cretaceous, let me introduce you to a creature just as extraordinary, and in some ways, far stranger. Its name is Hatzegopteryx, a pterosaur so unusual, so powerfully built, that even today, scientists struggled to categorize exactly what it was capable of. This is the story of a predator born on an ancient island. An island where evolution played by a different set of rules. A strange island for a strange creature. Our story begins not in the wide-open plains of North America, but in the rolling hills of modern-day Romania. 66 million years ago, this region was known as Hatzeg Island, a land isolated in the middle of the Tethys Sea. And the animals living on this island were odd. Dinosaurs that had become miniaturized, herbivores no bigger than modern ponies, ecosystems with few, if any, large predators. But lurking among these downsized creatures was something that broke the pattern entirely. A giant, a pterosaur with a skull built like a battering ram. That was Hatzegopteryx. When the first bones appeared, in the late 1990s, paleontologists uncovered a set of bones unlike anything else in the pterosaur world. Part of an enormous skull, fragments of a massive neck, bone pieces that were far thicker and stronger than expected. And that was the surprise. Pterosaurs are supposed to be lightweight and delicate. They're usually paper-thin, optimized for flight. But Hatzegopteryx? Its skull was thick, solid, and shockingly robust. As if it weren't designed just to fly, but also to hit things hard. A head made for power, not beauty. The more scientists studied it, the stranger it became. That giant head, those reinforced neck vertebrae, they didn't look like features made for graceful long-distance flight. They looked like the anatomy of a predator that struck with force, quick lunges, crushing bites, violent head swings. It's no wonder many researchers now believe Hatzegopteryx wasn't just a large pterosaur. It may have been the apex predator of the entire island. Apex predator of the island of dwarves. Think about it. On Hatzeg Island, there were no big theropods like T-Rex or Gorgosaurus. Most herbivores were small or mid-sized. Into this world walked a giant pterosaur with a 2-meter skull and a neck built like a suspension bridge. What could it hunt? Plenty. Dwarf hadrosaurs, juvenile dinosaurs, medium-sized mammals, reptiles, and probably anything slow enough to be caught. Imagine a creature shaped like a colossal stork, but instead of picking up fish, it was capable of taking down dinosaurs. That was Hatzegopteryx. Could it fly? Here's one of the biggest debates. Some scientists argue, of course it could fly. It's an Ozdarkid. That's what they do. Others respond, but with a skull and neck that heavy, long-distance flight seems unrealistic. The truth is, we don't know yet. The fossil record is incomplete. No full wing bones, no preserved soft tissue, no complete skeleton. What we do know is this: whether it flew often, occasionally, or barely at all, Hatzegopteryx was extremely capable on the ground, moving on 4 limbs, towering above most animals on the island. Reproduction and social life. A blank page. When it comes to nests, eggs, or juveniles of Hatzegopteryx, we have found nothing. So we turn to what we know from other pterosaurs. They laid soft, leathery eggs. Hatchlings were surprisingly mobile from day one. Nests were probably simple pits in sandy or loose soil. As for whether males had larger crests or whether they lived in groups, once again, we have no direct evidence. Most signs point to a mostly solitary lifestyle, much like modern herons or storks, with gatherings only during breeding seasons. A bold experiment of evolution. Of all the creatures nature ever designed, Hatzegopteryx feels like one of its boldest experiments. Where most pterosaurs evolved to become lighter and more efficient in the air, Hatzegopteryx went in the opposite direction. Stronger, heavier, more heavily built, a hunter first and a flyer second, if a flyer at all. It was a pterosaur that dominated not the sky, but the land beneath it. And that makes it one of the most fascinating animals of the Late Cretaceous. Closing thoughts. Every fragment of its bone, thick, dense, nearly unbreakable, is a reminder that evolution didn't just create elegant gliders. It also forged monsters, predators that ruled isolated islands, creatures that blurred the line between bird, reptile, and nightmare. And if we could travel back to that ancient island and watch Hatzegopteryx stride towards us on those long limbs, head towering like a living tower, I think we would understand instantly why some scientists call it the champion of the low sky.
Quetzalcoatlus spreads wings built for distance. Hatzegopteryx spreads wings built for survival. One relies on reach, the other relies on sheer strength. A spear versus a sledgehammer. One pierces, the other crushes. Quetzalcoatlus could cross regions. Hatzegopteryx stayed close to home. One launches with speed, the other leaps with force. One hunts opportunities, the other hunts victims. The plains favor the glider, the forest favors the striker. Open worlds belong to Quetzalcoatlus. Confined worlds belong to Hatzegopteryx. Quetzalcoatlus cuts the wind. Hatzegopteryx endures it. One stays aloft, one stays grounded. One ate what it found, One ate what it wanted. One dominated the open sky. One dominated the ground below. Two different weapons, no single winner.
Some scientists argue Hatzegopteryx could fly. Others say its massive skull made flight nearly impossible. At nearly 250 to 300 kilograms, could any pterosaur launch itself into the air? The evidence is inconclusive. Did Quetzalcoatlus hunt young dinosaurs, or merely clean up what others left behind? The neck of Hatzegopteryx could withstand enormous stress, but was it built for flight stabilization or ground-based killing blows? A structure this reinforced might suggest a weapon, but could it also have supported a neck held aloft during flight? Did pterosaurs launch themselves skyward with all four limbs, or did they run like birds before liftoff? Both models exist, and both have problems. Gravity treats every flyer differently. For Quetzalcoatlus, it was a challenge. For Hatzegopteryx, it may have been a limit. Flight, feeding, weight, launch mechanics, every answer raises new questions. And perhaps that's why Quetzalcoatlus and Hatzegopteryx remain so fascinating. Two giants surrounded not by certainty, but mystery. Across ancient shores, two giants once carved their presence into the earth. One ruled the open skies, drifting far beyond the horizon. The other walked its world with towering strength, a hunter born from isolation. In their differences, we discover what made each so remarkable. One mastered the sky, the other mastered the ground, and long after they vanished, their bones whisper stories of two evolutionary experiments. Two worlds divided by oceans, yet forever compared. One rides the wind, one wields raw force. But like all giants, both eventually faced the same final horizon. And so the question remains, who would win? Tell us what you believe.
When the world changed, it began with falling ash. The great glider of the open sky, reduced to a shadow in the storm. Across the ocean, the island giant walked into a world collapsing under its feet. The winds rose, carrying the last echoes of wings and footsteps, and the waters climbed into the places where giants once stood. Time sealed their stories into rock, where silence speaks louder than breath. In the end, even the masters of the sky fell silent.